The following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
Yeah! Go Cowboys! This is Talkin Cowboys. Streaming live from the Dallas Cowboys World Headquarters at the Star in Frisco.
C.D. Lamb, touchdown.
Parsons has sacked it. Prescott keeps it, and he bangs it in for the touchdown.
And now your hosts, Isaiah Stanback, Patrick Walker, Josh Rodriguez, and Kyle Yeomans.
It's time for
wow.
Let me try this again. It's time for a Tuesday edition of Talkin Cowboys, presented by Black Rifle Coffee Company, live from the Star in Frisco, Texas, in the SWBC studios. We've got Patrick Nosey Walker, Josh Rodriguez, Chris Beam in the back. I'm Kyle Yeomans. It is a Talkin Tuesday. Give us a call, 888-855-2297. We're going to talk about that Cowboys Week 1 win, 33-17 over the Cleveland Browns, and some of the reaction from that. And gentlemen, it is it feels so much better in the middle of the week now that you have a 1-0 record.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh. 2, you have an opportunity to see some of these other teams and some of the ways that they either excel or struggle, and you kind of get a good feel. I mean, it's overreaction week in the NFL. Is there a temperament to the expectations that were set on Week 1 for the Dallas Cowboys right now? I mean, should we temper the excitement and temper the flair at this point?
And you know why? It's for the same reason we said coming off of the loss to Green Bay in January. We said this is a Cowboys team that has proven it can win in the regular season. 12 wins, 3 consecutive years. And won the division last year, took it away from the Philadelphia Eagles. But until they do it in January and February, it being the goal, then the expectations have to be tempered no matter who they defeat, with one exception, the San Francisco 49ers. Cowboys defeat the San Francisco 49ers, and hey, let's overreact.
They looked pretty good last night, didn't they?
They did. So let's overreact if that's the case. But as far as every other opponent, it just needs to be rooted, for lack of a better way to put it. It needs to be...
I don't think there is a better way to put it.
Yeah, it needs to be taking it one game at a time and building upon that each week. So appreciate the positives and, analyze it that way, but just shoot it straight. Don't get too high, don't get too low. You defeated the Cleveland Browns. It was an impressive win, a convincing win, but it was not perfect. You have things to clean up. Clean them up. Do it again against the Saints.
You say that, and I also watched the defensive film from yesterday, or from Sunday, and
you mean when I was chopping up?
I'm thinking we're back. No, it feels like a great defense so far. Like we said yesterday, we were very critical of the offense, high praise on the defense, and that's obviously still stands. Nothing has changed. But going back to watch the film yesterday, I am feeling way more confident in how the defense is going to look for the remainder of the season. Granted, you have to play, better teams. I mean, Cleveland is no slouch.
Yeah.
They made the playoffs with freaking Joe Flacco last year. You know what I mean? Like, they're a good team.
And they were favorites.
And they were favorites to win the game on Sunday. So I don't want to be that guy that's like, whoa, we beat a bad team. Let's see how we, that happens a lot with us, where it's like, we'll win a game pretty big. We a decisive victory. And it's like, whoa, what happens when they play a playoff caliber team? It's like, we just did, dude.
No, that's corny.
Now they are not, because they just played us.
Yeah, that's corny.
So
corny.
I'm of the mind where I'm kind of in between. You guys know Heckma, right? Heckma Harrison.
Heckma Harrison, of course.
I love him. He's great on the shows. He's great on Players Lounge. He is a homer to the end. He put us in the Super Bowl on last week.
Do it. I love it.
Which I'm totally fine with. I'm like a hair under that. I'm a big homer. But let's just
Kyle made me do it as a bold prediction. Right. So but I use it as a bold prediction.
Bold.
Mine was
very
a bold prediction.
We're talking like
I'm not de facto
Arial black, whatever the font is, the that kind of bold.
Yeah, 45 point
Yeah.
font size.
I'm gonna say it in 72, maybe.
Wow.
That's
Maybe.
Yeah,
Maybe.
just with temperate.
It's a big fat maybe.
A lot of reasons to be optimistic. That's saying the least. A lot of reasons to be optimistic coming out of this week 1 win against the Browns. But again, they were not perfect. Kind of slowed down in the second half. And they need to reestablish their home dominance. I mean, they had the longest win streak at home before they allowed Jordan Love and the Packers to come in and just decimate them. So it's ground zero right now at AT&T Stadium. They gotta get the job done against a very talented Saints offense.
Yes, they do. And we'll talk more about that later in the week. I want to talk a little bit about Tyler Guyton and company. I thought week 1, let's talk about the rookies in general. We talked about Kalen Carson yesterday. There was a lot of that look, that spotlight, that attention on the offensive line with Tyler Guyton at left tackle, Cooper Beebe at center. I went back and I watched the film a little bit more in depth yesterday, and I left thinking, wanting more. I left wanting more from Guyton and from Beebe. They weren't bad, let's say it that way. I thought they were very serviceable. If not, they met that expectations. We knew there were going to be lapses because of, one, who they were going against. You just talked about how that's a worthy opponent, especially on the defensive side of the football.
100%.
And 2, because it's a NFL debut. They're rookies. They're going to have some lapses. What did you think on second look of what Guyton and Beebe did in week 1 and how they fared against Myles Garrett and that defensive front from Cleveland?
So I've done 2 broadcast watches on the offense, but yesterday I spent the entirety of doing film dissection on the defense. So I'll speak to my 2 rewatches on the broadcast version of the offense. I liked what I saw from Cooper Beebe. Let me rephrase it. I love what I saw from Cooper Beebe, and I loved what I saw from Tyler Guyton. Were there areas to clean up? Yes, particularly with Guyton, but keep in mind who he was going up against, and a lot of times he was on an island. He did get help with the chips and Zeke and things like that at times. Jake Ferguson was over there a time or 2. But to end the game having had 13 pass rush reps against the reigning defensive player of the year in Myles Garrett, and he only allowed pressures on I think 3 of those, if I'm not mistaken. So that's just fantastic, right? Because even the sack, the lone sack that Myles Garrett had, you could argue that should have been an incomplete pass. Okay, but I'll use Kyle Yeoman's logic and say if it didn't happen, it didn't happen. So let's give Myles.
I like that.
Yeah. So let's give Myles.
It's what it is.
Yeah, it's what it is. So let's give Garrett. We can have the conversation. I think it should have been incomplete, but they registered a sack. Okay, cool. But if you walk out of that game with a rookie left tackle who is transitioning back to left tackle, and that was his first game doing so against Myles Garrett, there were people who thought Myles Garrett would wreck this game. He did not. He impacted the game, but he did not determine the game at any point. So from Tyler Guyton and then Cooper Beebe to allow 0 pressures in 32 pass rush reps, phenomenal, right? So again, perfect? No. But something to build on? Abso-freaking-lutely.
Yeah.
And I think the coaching staff helped him out too. Mike McCarthy did a great job in getting away from Myles Garrett, at least for the first half of that game, and moving the pocket. It was calculated on their end to give Tyler Guyton a lot of help there, which is what he needed. Obviously, that's the reigning defensive player of the year.
Sure.
So I'm good with how they handled it, and Tyler Guyton was more than serviceable. He was really, really solid.
He was.
In his debut.
I'm looking at, and again, the first time we've referenced these all year long, do not use PFF and or these other playing grading. So don't use it as your only tool to grade and to evaluate players.
It's not the be-all, end-all.
It's not the holy grail.
But you can use it in your opinion, in
yes.
addition to your film watching and whatever it may be. But looking at PFF, Cooper Beebe was number 12 out of all centers in football, which, I mean, I'll take top 12 in terms of a NFL debut.
Also
all
transitioning
day,
to center as well, right?
Absolutely. I'll take that all day, every day. His pass blocking grade was a 78. His run blocking grade was a 63, rounding out to an overall offensive grade in 62 offensive snaps for nearly 70 or 68. So 68 is what he ended up having, which is 12th best in the league. Tyler Guyton, not necessarily the same. His pass blocking grade, 28. He had a 28 on his pass blocking grade. Run blocking, 49, and it rounds out to a 42 overall. He was 64th out of 68 tackles graded in week 1. So PFF certainly doesn't believe it was that bad. Or doesn't believe it was that good. I don't think it was that bad.
Agreed.
I don't know if I would put him 64th out of 68 tackles. There's no way he was that bad.
No, and that's where the grades but they're already arbitrary. That's when you have to remember that their grading system is arbitrary. And it's proprietary to what they do and how they decide to weigh certain variables. And it's also one of those things where it's like the stat line and the numbers and the grades don't always match what you see on film. They just simply do not always match. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, and to your point yesterday, Marshawn Nealon didn't necessarily fill up the stat sheet yesterday.
But the film,
when you go back,
he jumps off the film.
When you go back to watch the film on Marshawn Nealon, which I did not see when I watched the live during the broadcast, but when I watched yesterday, he was making some moves out there. 2 solo tackles, 3 total tackles, but it did not indicate how well he played as a rookie going up against the Browns.
I'm interested to see what Isaiah thinks about Marshawn Nealon, because he's talked about it on this show before, where he feels like he's
not a true defensive end.
A true end. And I don't think they're going to utilize him as a true end all season long. They did a lot on Sunday. But I think there's ways you can kind of move him as that tweener, that Tyrone Crawford sort of esque player where you can kind of bounce him in and out.
I like that comp, with the exception of I hope they don't have him sliding up and down with weight to accommodate 5-tech versus 3-tech. But you saw him impacting the game, Marshawn Nealon we're talking about, in a couple of different ways. You saw him on one particular play. He rushed off of the edge as a 5 wide, and he was able to bull rush his guy back into the lap of Deshaun Watson and forced an errant deep pass down the left side that was incomplete. You also then saw on a run play, talk about run defense, from the 3-tech role, he was able to push his blocker back into the running lane for Elijah Ford, I believe, took that handoff. And that, in combination with Micah Parsons helping seal behind Marshawn Nealon, that allowed DeMarcus Lawrence to come and chase down Elijah Ford for what I believe was a 1 or 2 yard tackle for a loss on that run play. So to your point, Josh, and it's a fantastic point, and it's something that I pointed out in real time on X, Twitter, as you will, that Marshawn Nealon was jumping off of the film for me, so to speak, because I was seeing it in real time. But that's one of those guys who the Cowboys might have again struggled with. Now, again, we'll see if he can build on it. But it is extremely promising to see what he's doing in his first game against such a formidable mobile quarterback, I should say. And I'm not saying Deshaun Watson is formidable in the air, but when he takes off with his legs, and then you have a very capable guy in Elijah Ford, and we said that going in, Marshawn Nealon, he did his thing.
And like you're saying, for the second round pick that he is, to come in and impact the game already at this level, it bodes well for the rookie class of this past year. I think
and they need that.
We were desperate to have a solid rookie class that contributed to the game this year.
Yes.
And I think so far we might have that.
Check the box in week 1. I mean,
right?
You had 4 guys.
I know it's overreaction, but
no.
But week 1, they're starting.
The film is now there,
right?
And that's what I want to see. I want to see considerable movement forward. And I think your offense, or your rookie class, showed that. I think you saw it on the offensive line with BB and Guyton. I don't care what PFF says about Guyton. He wasn't a 27 pass block. Let's not
take it easy.
He gave up 1 sack and 2 pressures. Who cares? I mean, it's part of it. Against the reigning defensive player of the year. I'm okay with it. The defensive side, Maris Leofau was flying around still. I mean, DeMarvion Overshown was making his NFL debut. He's not a rookie, but still, I would think I would classify that as a new addition to what you could have out of these last 2 draft classes. And then, of course, Marshawn Nealon doing what he did. He had 44 snaps, all but 6 of which were off the edge, and he finished up as a top 30 graded edge rusher out of over 100 in week 1.
Wow.
As a rookie in a debut.
And
and he was going up against backup tackles.
Yeah.
Keep that in mind, too. But, yeah, check the box. I think the rookie class has an opportunity to do something special.
That's not even to mention Kalen Carson.
Oh, yeah. I didn't even say Carson.
Who had a superb afternoon. And so much talk, rightfully so. Let me qualify that. Rightfully so, about the dominance and the potential of Amari Cooper against any defense in the league, right? 5-time Pro Bowler, one of the best route runners in the NFL, if not still the best route runner in the NFL, although I would now put CD in that conversation.
He's up there.
Yeah. Who'd he learn from? Amari Cooper.
Yeah.
But you have a situation where you got Trayvon Diggs, and going into this game, what version of Trayvon Diggs are we about to see? Are we about to see prime Trayvon Diggs, or the one who needs some reps, needs a game or two? In prime Trayvon Diggs is what we saw.
Yeah.
And then opposite him, you have Kalen Carson. Now, Jordan Lewis, we'll talk about him as well, because Jordan Lewis, menace in coverage, menace with tackling in space, just an absolute menace. But Kalen Carson went out there, and all he did was everything the Cowboys believe that he can do, and it took him no time to start doing it. He almost had the pick six. If he jumps that route just a tick quicker, that's going to the crib.
It almost felt like he was too fast,
right,
going to it.
Yeah.
Like the ball was like past him already after he bit on it. But
so close. And then what does Deshaun Watson do? The same thing I would have done, honestly, is you target the rookie again. 2 plays later, right? You go to Amari Cooper, middle slant over the seam, and the closing speed. The closing speed of Kalen Carson, and then the demeanor after that PBU to jump up over Amari Cooper of all players as Amari is down, do the seatbelt strap motion, and start barking. Oh man, do we have another dog in this secondary?
Another dog, possibly.
Do, yeah.
But like you said yesterday, he's gonna get hurt.
He'll get burned.
Not injured, but I mean, like, he's gonna get burned at least a few times this season. But you harken back to Trayvon Diggs' first season, and that happened to him a few times.
Happened to DeRon Bland.
You gotta learn.
I do believe it's going to happen. Inevitably, growing pains is what that will be.
Oh, he'll get Tostito. Tostito Championship Plaza. Like, it'll happen.
For us, yeah.
Yeah,
I like that.
Yeah,
Shouts
yeah.
out to
I
them.
had to get it in there. Sorry.
But there was one particular play that showed me that I don't think it'll happen as much as people would believe so, because you think that his aggressiveness is going to turn him into an Asante Samuel, okay, where it's just like it's boom or bust, right? He'll get you these picks, or it's a touchdown going the other way, okay? A couple things I think work against that. Number one, Cowboys safeties.
that helps.
So that helps. Him knowing that they're
thudding.
behind him allows him to be a bit more aggressive.
Donovan Wilson was headhunting.
Yeah, he absolutely was. And then there's one particular play. I broke it down. I put it on Twitter. I can't find it at the exact moment. But I believe it was Jerry Jeudy, if I'm not mistaken. It was an attempt at a double move, and Carson used it against him. Because right before the double move break, he physicaled him, right? So he got on it. He disrupted the timing, and you could see Deshaun looking at that move thinking, okay, I got the rookie, and then, no, I don't. So he had to go through his reads, but he didn't have time because the pressure was in his face. Yeah. So that invokes confidence for me that although there will be growing pains and somebody's going to get him on the double move, just like they got Trayvon on the double move early in his career, DeRon Bland, is going to happen. But what I'm seeing from Carson on this film that he created on Sunday is that it may not happen nearly as often as some people might believe.
Yeah, I agree. And there's going to be learning pains all the way through.
And the second you play a quarterback that is really good or confident in the receivers that they're throwing to, I think it's going to be a different story. I think Deshaun Watson was really bad.
But there were also
really
there's
bad.
also the part of the conversation that goes to just how, and I get it. The Browns were without Jack Conklin and without Jarek Wills. I get it. But their backups get paid too. So at the same time, while I understand, I don't really care. Because they flipped it to the other side of the coin. People didn't care when Tyron Smith was injured.
Nope.
They didn't care when Terrence Steele was out with a torn ACL, right? It was just about, Dak's getting pressured, and okay, we'll keep that energy, right? Micah Parsons and Marshawn Nealon and DeMarcus Lawrence and Oso Digizua, who, quiet as it's kept, had a very good game as well, and helping those other guys get theirs. Keep the pressure up is where I'm going with this. If you can keep the pressure, because there was at least one time, there was a big play to be made for Deshaun Watson, and I think it was Jerry Jeudy going over the middle. If that play had, check out the film breakdown I did yesterday. It's on my Twitter. If Deshaun Watson had a split second longer to let that play develop, that's a 20-plus yard reception down the middle of the field on a deep crosser with only Malik Hooker to beat. Now, Malik Hooker is a great tackler. Maybe he makes that play. But if he doesn't, then that's going to the crib. So, again, to Josh's point, you got to keep the pressure up. And then really it won't matter who the quarterback is, because you can rattle most quarterbacks in the NFL not named the Aaron Rodgers of the world. But even Aaron Rodgers looked a little frazzled. Last night against the San Francisco 49ers. So
San Francisco got after him.
Pressure bursts pipes.
Yes, it does. All right, pressure's on to Talkin Cowboys Nation. It's your time to hop on the phone lines, 888-855-2297. Chris Beam will be awaiting your anxiously awaiting your call.
It was already ringing off the hook
I'm
before
sure.
the show got started.
Was it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
literally.
Nice. I like that.
People are excited.
888-855-2297. Give us a call right after this with more Talking Cowboys.
Todd thought it would be secure to jog in the cheetah savanna. Todd believed the big cat repellent he bought online was reliable. And now, Todd is trying to be faster than this cheetah that can run 80 miles per hour. But the good news is, Todd has AT&T 5G that is fast, reliable, and secure. And he learned the best thing to do is stop running and toss her the backpack with the beef stew. AT&T 5G. Fast, reliable, secure.
5G requires compatible plan and device. 5G may not be available in your area. See att.com/5G for you for details.
If you're looking for fresh American roasted coffee that gives back, you need to head to your local grocery store and pick up a bag of Black Rifle coffee. That's right, America's coffee is now available in the coffee aisle of a grocery store near you. Black Rifle Coffee Company is veteran-founded with a mission to give back to those brave men and women who have served our nation. Every bag, box, or can you purchase helps support that mission. Head to your local grocery store and roast yourself some Black Rifle coffee today.
They say champions are remembered, but legends are never forgotten. United Ag and Turf offers a winning lineup of John Deere equipment built to tackle any challenge on and off the field. Legendary John Deere tractors, combines, residential mowers, commercial mowers, compact construction equipment, Gator utility vehicles, and a full line of golf and sports turf equipment. United Ag and Turf, the official Ag and Turf equipment supplier of the Dallas Cowboys. Visit UnitedAgAndTurf.com to find a location near you.
Life doesn't stop when the economy is uncertain. The market might not care you have a wedding to plan or a kid to put through school. And inflation doesn't know you've got a family to feed. But Bank of America does, and is here to help. With digital tools to help you save and local experts nearby, you can keep life moving forward the way you need it to. Bank of America. What would you like the power to do? Learn more at bankofamerica.com. Bank of America N.A., member FDIC, equal credit opportunity lender.
Back to Talkin' Cowboys.
This portion of the Talking Cowboys podcast is brought to you by Quaker Oats, the official oatmeal sponsor of your Dallas Cowboys. Quaker Oats, trusted since 1877. We're back here with Josh Rodriguez, who has the Quaker code down to his right or your left.
It's
on
over
the screen.
here.
It's down on the side.
I'm
Patrick
pointing
No
to it
C.
now.
Walker on the other side of things. We've got Chris Beam in the back taking your phone calls, 888-855-2297. And you might be wondering why I'm keeping things calm.
And why is that, Kyle?
You might be wondering why I'm trying to keep it nice and quiet. Because the energy will be brought plenty by our first caller here of this Talkin Tuesday as we hand things over to Mike in New York. Mike, what's going on, my friend? What did you think after the Week 1 win?
Yeah, what's going on, guys? I obviously had to call, and I call all the time. I was impressed. I have a couple concerns, though. Obviously, I know it's only Week 1. I'd like to see the Cowboys in the second half of that game. I'd like to see us run the ball a little more. I know McCarthy loves to air it out. I'd like to see us smash, run it a little more. I mean, hey, it wasn't bad. I was impressed by, Zeke, but I'd like to see us, run the ball a little more.
I appreciate the call, Mike, and great point. I think we talked about that a little bit yesterday.
We did talk about that yesterday.
And there's ways you can improve in the ground game. I mean, Rico Dowdle was not super impressive. 8 for 26. He had 3.3 yards per carry. He had the 1 of 10 that I think even made that number look a little bit better. But again, and somebody pointed it out and was saying that we were poo-pooing on the Ezekiel Elliott thing. That's not the case. We said he met expectations.
Go back and watch the film.
Yeah.
Our film
He
from yesterday.
met expectations.
Watch the show.
The show
yesterday,
film.
Yeah.
And you'll see.
Did he
the-
exceed them? No, he did not exceed expectations. I thought he did exactly what he was brought in to do. Is that a bad thing? Absolutely not. But there are ways that the ground game can be more effective.
Yeah, and one thing that I want to point out, and I alluded to it on yesterday, but everything requires context. Everything requires context, right? So while we heaped a lot of praise, rightfully so, on Ezekiel Elliott doing everything that he was expected to do, his pass protection was sensational, okay? He showed his ability out of the backfield as a receiver. He showed his effectiveness in short yardage situations, and he had a good bounce in his step that many people thought didn't exist. So Ezekiel Elliott looked fantastic. But Ezekiel Elliott also went up against a stacked box far fewer times than did Rico Dowdle. Rico Dowdle had the highest number of stacked boxes in his run. So the Browns definitely were trying to keep Rico Dowdle from hitting any type of potential home run or anything like that. And he was still able to get like that plus 10. He got that first down. He got that conversion up the right side, I believe, off of, I think it was off of Martin and behind Terrence Steele. And so you saw some things from Rico Dowdle that tells you he'll be all right. Yeah. He'll be more than all right.
Extra large agree with Mike from New York.
Extra large
agree.
Like a New York sized?
Yes, a New York sized agree. No, and like you're saying, if you're thinking that we were poo-pooing on Zeke, go back and watch the film. Go back and watch the film. Go back and watch the all three. It's a camera above our heads.
Yes.
And watch it in slow-mo where we're like, Zeke hurdled over a guy. Zeke is, yes, exactly. Zeke is... He played really well. He looked like not 2016 Zeke, but 2019 Zeke here with the Cowboys. I don't know. I was really excited about the run game with Zeke.
Ooh, I like the way you put that. Yeah,
Right?
He's not 2016 Zeke.
I'm spitting.
He's 2019 Zeke. I'd be okay with 2019, 2020 Zeke. I'm cool with that.
Yeah, I would be. And again, he set the tone with that hurdle, right? And albeit it was called back by the holding on to the message had been sent that Ezekiel Elliott is not only here to do some damage, but he's here to prove that he's not at, past that event horizon of 30 that is held up there against running backs in the NFL.
It is a long season.
Yeah, fair enough.
It's a long season.
That's why it's going to be key to get guys like Deuce Vaughn involved more frequently.
Please.
Right? And now, this is going to segue to a quick news and note, but also get Hunter Lipke involved more frequently. Now, Hunter Lipke might get involved more frequently as early as week 2 if Jake Ferguson is not available to play with that MCL sprain. But Jake Ferguson is optimistic. Jerry Jones on 105.3 The Fan FM this morning said that he was optimistic that Jake will play. And Mike McCarthy yesterday, in speaking to the media, said that Jake will be on the return to work program effective tomorrow, Wednesday in practice. So while I don't believe it's likely Jake Ferguson plays against the Saints because it's not a must-win situation and you need him for the long haul, it is not impossible. So if Jake Ferguson does sit, you'll get Hunter Lipke more, but in a tight end package capacity. That being said, involve Deuce more because one carry, we want to see more of Deuce.
It was positive yardage.
Right.
He's averaging 4 yards per carry.
We want to see more touches for Zeus, for Deuce. Zeus.
Zeus Vaughn. I like it.
Freudian slip. But
if something happens, there you go. It's right there for you.
So you'll see, I think you'll see more from Deuce. But long season, you're correct.
Yeah.
That's why this needs to be a true committee approach.
Yes, no doubt. All right, let's go to Cole in Brock, Texas. They play some pretty good football down in Brock, Texas, so Cole might know a thing or two. What's going on, Cole?
Nothing much, guys. How are you?
Doing great. What's on your mind?
Hey, so, going into the season, looking at the schedule, I was nervous for a few games, and, I might be on an island alone, with my hopium, but the way that they played Sunday gave me some good feelings going forward. I know the offense kind of dipped out a little bit in the second half, but the defense played great, obviously. I just kind of wanted your guys' opinions. Did the way that they played on Sunday give you a little bit more hope for the stretch of games that we've got coming up, with the Ravens and the Lions and the Niners after the bye, and even the Saints next week with how they played against Carolina on what the Cowboys would look like for the rest of the season?
Appreciate the call, Cole. Great question. And I think I'll let you start it off, Josh.
Well, you go.
Okay.
You go. I'll
say it. The thing that stuck out to me most about the Week 1 win, at least from a general sense, is the fact that it was very reminiscent of the 2023 football team, of the Dallas Cowboys and the way they were built in 2023. If they can get up early, they will unleash the pass rush. They'll unleash the defense. They can do exactly what they plan to do on that side of the football, and good luck for the other teams to catch up. I don't see this Cowboys team as a come-from-behind ball club. They can throw it around so they can maybe make it happen, but if they can jump out to a lead, I don't think you're catching them. I agree with Cole. I think I'm looking at the Saints as a should win. You're at home. On paper, you're a better team, even though New Orleans has some weapons. Baltimore's still a toss-up to me. New York should be a win. Pittsburgh should be a win. Detroit's probably that's going to be a tough one in Week 6.
Yeah, that's a tough
and then San Francisco after what they looked like last night. I don't think it changes a whole lot to me. I think this team, it answered some of my questions with the rookie class and some of the guys that are taking a second-year jump to a certain extent. But there are still a lot of questions and 17 other weeks to answer those questions along the way. So it doesn't change a whole lot, but I had some 10 wins as an expectations. I think I would maybe say it as 11 or 12 at this point. Maybe it raised it 1 or 2. Maybe
a little bit.
Maybe.
Going into the offseason when we lost Dan Quinn to the Commanders, I was worried that the defense was going to take a step back in sacks and turnovers. Now, I don't think that is a big issue for me now. My first impression of the game is that the defense is arguably looks better than it did last year. Granted, that's due to having linebackers, of course.
And it's kind of hard to say that, too, because, or at least for me anyways, because they won last year's opener 40-0, and that was like, wow. Now, that was also a playoff team, a team coming off of a playoff berth. You thought it was going to be a considerable opponent, and the Giants ended up being...
turned out to be the Giants.
Yeah, the bottom of the barrel in the NFC East.
But mostly for me, though, it's the tone that the defense set from the beginning and how fast they are.
Nice.
We've been talking about that since camp, how fast these guys are. That for me was the biggest indication. Now, what happens when we're going up against a better quarterback? Honestly, we'll see, because you have Lamar Jackson coming in Week 3, and that's going to be something, man. And going to see DeMarvion, to see Eric Kendricks, how they handle a guy like Lamar Jackson, that'll be interesting.
I think if they beat Baltimore in Week 3, I think the Hopium will be back in full force. If they start 3-0, and I mean, if they start 3-0, they very well should start 4-0. But that's when you're going to start seeing the Hopium get right back where it needs to be.
That's also not to overlook the Saints by any means, because Derek Carr can absolutely bomb.
He's going to be a step up from what Deshaun Watson was last week.
Yeah.
It's hard not to be.
Which is why it's wonderful that this game is at home.
Yes.
At AT&T Stadium, which is why it's wonderful that the Baltimore Ravens and Lamar Jackson have to come to Arlington to play. I have some pluses after the Week 1 win against Cleveland that were question marks going into that game. You move over from Dan Quinn, no doubt Mike Zimmer can get it cooking, but what does that look like?
Yeah.
Question mark. Linebackers last year, eek. Okay, this year, a lot of talent. A lot of bodies. What does it look like, though? Right? One of the biggest spots that we had a question about, defensive tackle, interior defensive line. They go and they add Linval, they add Jordan Phillips. Mozzie is expected to take another step. Chauncey. What does it look like, though? Right? So 2 parts. 1, continue to use the scoreboard as the 12th defender. Get off to fast starts. That will allow your pass rush to apply pressure, which helps your coverage, which then helps with takeaways. And then your offense can just begin to pull away, right? But again, a plus. The question mark on linebackers, plus. Move to a plus. Question mark on what Zimmer's defense looks like, move to a plus. Question mark on defensive tackle play as far as run defense as a whole in conjunction with the linebackers. That turned into a plus. So, yeah, I believe that, and they did it without Deron Bland. They got Trayvon back. That matters.
That's back.
Right? But the fact that Kalen Carson put what he put on film lets you know that once Deron Bland does come back, you have this 4-man rotation at cornerback
that you feel really, really,
you have
really
to
good
feel
about.
Exceptional about. So and also really quickly, did you see the Ravens in Week 1? They have Zay Jones as a deep threat.
Yeah.
And then you have possession receivers.
Right.
Which means your safeties and cornerbacks can play forward with the exception of Zay Jones. Likely is a problem.
Likely's nice.
Yeah, but he's a possession receiver who can get yak after, right? Not necessarily that speedy deep ball guy. As far as speedy deep ball guys, they have Zay. So if you can bottle up Zay, now you get to play forward and you shrink the field, which then forces Lamar to run the ball all over. Then it becomes Overshown versus Lamar, and that's cinema.
Oh, man. That's going to be fun.
That's cinema.
I can't wait for that. We got to take our second break. When we come back, hold on for just one more moment. We'll get to Bob in Rio Grande Valley and talk to him and get you ready for the rest of the week here on Talkin Cowboys. More Talkin Tuesday right after this.
Todd thought it would be secure to jog in the cheetah savanna. Todd believed the big cat repellent he bought online was reliable. And now, Todd is trying to be faster than this cheetah that can run 80 miles per hour. But the good news is, Todd has AT&T 5G that is fast, reliable, and secure. And he learned the best thing to do is stop running and toss her the backpack with the beef stew. AT&T 5G. Fast, reliable, secure.
5G requires compatible plan and device. 5G may not be available in your area. See att.com/5G for you for details.
It's the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys, Jack Black. And right now, Cowboys fans can get 15% off their $75 order. Plus, because every deal needs a playmaker, your order will include a free 5-piece skincare set and free shipping. The Jack Black Playmaker is 4 of Jack's favorites and a full-sized intense therapy lip balm. Make a play for the playmaker at getjackblack.com/Cowboys with the code CowboysVIP. That's getjackblack.com/Cowboys with the code CowboysVIP.
Welcome back into Dear Doctor, the show where I answer life's questions with an ice-cold can of Dr. Pepper. Sheila, let's hear from our next caller, would you?
Dear Doctor, my friend supported me during a tough time. But what's the right gift that says, thanks for being a shoulder to cry on?
Okay, this one's easy. I say give her a delicious Dr. Pepper. Nothing says, thanks, girl, better than a one-of-a-kind soda. Yes, any Dr. Pepper flavor will do. Now, just a reminder that I don't need to be a real doctor to know that Dr. Pepper is the one you deserve.
If you're looking for fresh American roasted coffee that gives back, you need to head to your local grocery store and pick up a bag of Black Rifle coffee. That's right, America's coffee is now available in the coffee aisle of a grocery store near you. Black Rifle Coffee Company is veteran-founded with a mission to give back to those brave men and women who have served our nation. Every bag, box, or can you purchase helps support that mission. Head to your local grocery store and roast yourself some Black Rifle coffee today.
Back to Talkin Cowboys.
This segment is brought to you by Invisalign, the official smile of the Dallas Cowboys. Welcome back into Talking Cowboys. All right, let's go to Bob in the Rio Grande Valley.
Bob.
What's on your mind, Bob, going into week 2?
Good morning, guys. It's good to talk to you.
Yeah, good to have you.
Same.
Well, Chris Beamer will tell you that I'm a diehard Cowboy fan, 80 years old. Follow them religiously, your podcast every day, which I enjoy. Sometimes I don't catch you guys in the morning because I don't get out of bed that damn early.
I respect it, Bob. I respect it.
When I do catch you, I enjoy it very much. I was very optimistic with what I saw in training camp and preseason, and I didn't see anything in this game to damper that optimism at all. As a matter of fact, I thought, considering the number of rookies that we had playing, and some of the competition that we were up against, I thought that we played very well. I think our offense this year is just a tick better than last year, just a tick. I think our defense is light years ahead of last year. But I'm going to sit on my optimism and stay with hopeism until we play the 49ers.
Okay.
What I saw last night, an undrafted acquisition at running back. I mean, they didn't miss Christian McCaffrey at all.
Yep.
That kid was phenomenal. When the hole was there, he hit it, and he hit it with lightning speed. They just throttled the Jets defense, which last year was rated one of the best in the league.
Yes, it did.
So I think the benchmark for me is going to be the San Francisco game. Until then, I'm going to be rooting every week. I'm going to be believing in our coaching staff to coach these young guys up and get them to the level by mid-season that they need to be. And I'm very, very hopeful for a long run in the playoffs this year. You guys have a great one, and thank you for taking my call.
Thank you very much, Bob. I love that call. That was a great call.
Sensational.
80 years old. He says, I'm a Cowboys fan. He says, sometimes I don't get up in the morning, but I still love catching the podcast, and I listen die hard because I am a die hard. Be like Bob, everybody.
Be like Bob.
Be like Bob.
Figure it out.
It's a new
Be
shirt.
like Bob. That's fantastic. I think he brings up a great point, and I might throw up a little in my mouth when I say this, but the San Francisco 49ers are still the standard. I mean, in the NFC. That's part of it.
The facts are the facts.
Until proven otherwise.
Until proven
The
otherwise.
facts are
I
the
just don't like
facts.
the 49ers. I can't
Of course.
stand that
Of course.
franchise.
Of course.
But
they're still
they're
the ones to beat.
still very, very good. And it's funny because my wife even makes fun of me whenever they're on national TV and I'm able to watch the game at home. She's like, what do you like? Why do you hate the 49ers? I was like, because I love everything that they do, like as a team. Like, I think they're such a good, well-built team from top to bottom, but I hate everything about it. I hate their jerseys. I hate their smiles. I hate everything about the 49ers, but they're super good.
Yeah, that's not
and
why
that's
I hate them.
That's the unfortunate part.
That's not
of
why
it.
I hate them.
There's a lot of reasons why I hate them.
I hate them because of the catch. I hate them because of the rivalry.
I wasn't around for that
and I was, and that's what I mean. Like I was preteen going into teenage years at that point, and the pain that they inflicted upon me when Dwight made that catch, and just the rivalry. And for those that are old enough to remember the rivalry between the 49ers and the Cowboys in the early to mid 90s, it was hard to beat. I mean, that was one of the best eras of Cowboys versus any particular
franchise ever. Yeah.
So mine harkens back to that. And so now every time I see a 49ers jersey, I'm just like, that's when I throw up in my mouth a little bit because I'm like, you're gross. Even if you're, and they are the standard. They're the standard bearer right now in the NFC. Fact. Also, I hate your face.
Yeah, there you go. So luckily we don't have to worry about them until after the bye week. You had a question you wanted to get to on Twitter.
Really quickly. Great question asked from Abe at Strata. Abe21 asks, are you guys concerned about the tight end position? What happened during training camp that made the front office move on from Peyton Hendershot? Go.
I don't know if I should answer the Peyton Hendershot question. He just wasn't.
Answer whatever you.
I don't think he was quite to the level that we were expecting him, and I think Patrick, we talked about this, the level that he needed to get to after Luke Schoonmaker joined the team, I don't think he stepped up to that level, and I don't think the coaches thought that way either.
And it wasn't just one specific instance.
No, it was
in
a body
camp.
of work.
The body of work, right?
The way
but
that
didn't
question,
help.
the way the question was phrased was what happened in training camp. This was a couple years in the making.
Correct.
They took Luke Schoonmaker. Peyton Hendershot didn't necessarily have the right mindset from that point forward.
Also got injured last year.
The injury didn't help. He had to come back. He had to have some rehab. I mean, at one point, production can overcome everything. He didn't have the production.
No.
When you don't have the production, you have to have the right mindset. He didn't have either one of those things, and I think ultimately that's why they moved on.
You don't make the club in the tub. Shouts to Chris
and
Beam.
Peyton Hendershot could not remain healthy, and when he was on the field, he flashed a couple of times on special teams, but not much at all on offense. Definitely not like he did in year one.
No.
Coming in, he had that undrafted hunger. He was right there, and you just knew that he'd be TE2 to Jake Ferguson's TE1 in the post-Dalton Schultz era.
It was going to be 1A, 1B.
Luke Schoonmaker got the call, and Jake Ferguson's mindset took him to the stratosphere, and Peyton Hendershot's dragged him down to the 7 circles of hell, and he just never really recovered from that. And now you see John Stevens Jr., they're looking at his potential. We'll see if he can play this week. Missed last week with the hamstring injury.
He's going through a similar thing because of the injuries, because of the addition of Brevin Spann.
You're going to have to lean heavily on Hunter Lipke, but also Brevin Spann Ford. High priority undrafted free agent. They gave him a sizable amount of guaranteed money in relation to other free agents. If you're asking what happened in training camp that cost Peyton Hendershot, you have to look at what happened last year for Peyton Hendershot, what happened in training camp this year, and then throw Brevin Spann Ford in. He's big, he can catch, he can block. Am I concerned right now? Without Jake, I'm going to say, yeah, I have some concern. Yeah. There's not enough film on the group that would go out there for me to be like, oh, yeah, they can pick up where Jake left off. Easier said than done. Jake is, to me, top 3. It's not easy to pick up on, replace top 3 production from a tight end. Absolutely. But can they be serviceable? I think they can be, but I'm interested to see how Mike McCarthy utilizes them to not put them in compromising positions, but to also get them in positions where they can excel.
I think you see CD run the ball more. I feel like that, to me, is like that good mid-yardage play that you are able to supplement instead of Jake Ferguson being out there.
I think you're looking at a group of Hunter Lipke, and I say his name first because Mike said he's a front runner. And then Jerry was just praising the hell out of him on 105.3 The Fan today. So Hunter Lipke, Brevin Spanford, hopefully John Stevens can get out there.
Yes.
Princeton Fant, I expect him to be elevated. And Princeton Fant, it'll be interesting. Keep an eye on this because if Hunter Lipke is doing more work from the tight end package perspective, we saw Princeton Fant in the preseason finale doing a lot of work out of the fullback package.
Yeah.
So gotta love that they have those options like that.
Yeah, I'm concerned. Combined without Jake Ferguson in the fold, the tight end room has 8 receptions, 65 yards, and 2 touchdowns for their career.
You have to be. Realistically, you have to be concerned.
There's a concern there. I think with Brevin Spanford, if you're expecting him to be in the passing game and be a consistent option in the passing game, that's where I have a little bit of a lapse just from his tape at Minnesota. I'm looking at my scouting report, and I stick by it based off of what it was from his time at Minnesota. His pros, great frame for the position, standing tall, 6'6", 260, willing and capable blocker with great form and hand placement. He's going to block for you. We've seen that already. Solid hands, reliable pass catcher within a 15-yard window. Has the chance to be an all-around blocker and receiver. Has a chance. So there's a chance he steps up. But what I've seen from training camp and what I've seen in the early snaps through the preseason, he can completely disappear as an option in the passing game at times during what could be the biggest games on the Gophers' schedules against Michigan, Ohio State, Iowa. He finished with 1 reception with no yards in those 3 games combined.
Not ideal.
So you can have him as a reliable target when you want to utilize him, but at the same time, he's got to get open, and he still has to be a capable and willing blocker. So, yeah, I'm a little concerned. And I think I like Brevin Spanford. I put Brevin Spanford. I put him as an under-the-radar prospect because I think he can grow into that.
Yeah.
Him being thrust into a starting or a very much so heavy rotational role in Game 2 of NFL experience, that's where I think there's a little bit of growth that needs to be happening first before you can have expectations.
Real
for
quick,
Brevin
and as you
Spanford.
try to figure out this tight end situation, if Jake Ferguson can't go, you have to look at the wide receivers, and one in particular, Jalen Tolbert. This needs to be a game where Jalen Tolbert gets several targets to try to supplement those targets that can't go to your tight ends if Jake Ferguson can't play.
Jalen Brooks, too.
Jalen Brooks, absolutely.
That's a good one.
The Jalen's. The 2 Jalen's. Yeah.
Make it happen, guys. Make it happen. All right, we're going to make it happen tomorrow. It's time to preview the Cowboys' defensive matchup versus the Saints. This could be a juicy one. Isaiah will be back, by the way. We've got 2 screens in here for those that don't know our studio setup. We've got one screen to the right that has our program monitor on it, and the left one is NFL Network. And we keep seeing Isaiah on this other morning football show on this NFL Network called Good Morning Football.
We're proud.
No, we are. We're very proud of Isaiah. I'm sure he killed it today. He'll be back tomorrow. He'll get to break down Cowboys defense versus what the Saints bring offensively, like Alvin Kamara, Chris Olave. Can Derek Carr be a capable quarterback? Lots of things to hit tomorrow. Thank you to all those that called in here on a Talkin Tuesday. We do it every Tuesday, 888-855-2297. For Chris Beam in the back, for Josh Rodriguez, Patrick No-C Walker, I'm Kyle Yeomans. We will see you tomorrow with more Talkin Cowboys.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys? Yeah!